Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Hebrews with Brady Randall.
As the author moves to the end of his exhortations, he has a word for the Hebrews on contentment. In verses 5 and 6, he says this: "Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, 'Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you.'" So we can say with confidence, "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?" I think one of the most misquoted Bible passages of all time is this, and see if you've heard this before, or maybe you've said it: "Money is the root of all evil." But in fact, that's not what the scriptures say. In fact, Paul in 1 Timothy 6:10, and our author here, makes a clarifying point. He says it's not that money is the root of all evil, but the love of money. Money is simply a tool and a test of where our heart is. And the difficult thing about this command is that we're often blinded by this idea. It's hard to see or feel that we have a lot of money, especially when we compare ourselves to other people in our neighborhood, people that we work with. And it's also difficult because most of us don't love paper money, dollar bills per se, but we do love the security and pleasure that having money can bring. Most of us listening to this podcast would probably not consider ourselves rich, but compared to the world's standards, we would be considered filthy rich. A family that has an income of $10,000 a year, which is below the poverty line, still leaves them wealthier than 84% of the world's population. So he says, do whatever you can to keep your lives free from this trap, and instead be content with what you have. So the answer to keeping our lives free from the love of money is being content, but also remembering this promise that God has said, "I will never leave you, never will I forsake you." Think about that. If you have God, and He's got you, and if God is for you, what else do you ultimately need? That He provides everything that you and I need. And if you have God, you have all the resources of God. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. That means He will take care of you. He won't abandon you. What a promise. I remember going to a Christian concert several years ago, and the singer was talking about visiting his Compassion Child. And Compassion is a Christian organization that sponsors children in other countries and gives them things like healthcare, education, food, and shares the gospel and makes sure they're connected with a local church. And you can also have a chance to visit your Compassion Child at times. And the singer got on a plane and he went to the country that he was going to visit his child. He proceeded to drive up and down a mountainous terrain for over 4 hours. He said he finally got to the top of the hill where this person lived, and they came to a tiny little hut at the top of the hill. And when the singer went into their house, he was blown away by their poverty. It was a family of 3. It was a father and a mother and the son, who was the Compassion Child. This tiny room with a roof. He was so taken aback at the poverty that he said through the translator, he said, "Tell this family, whatever they need, I will buy it for them. Anything at all." The father looked at the sponsor. He looked at his wife and his child. And then he looked at the Compassion poster on the wall and he said this: "I have my family, and we have Jesus Christ, and I can think of nothing else that we need." Wow. Can you imagine that man's perspective? I mean, this is somebody who gets it, a man who had his family, he had Jesus, he had nothing else, and yet by his own admission, he had everything. And I think having this perspective allows us to say with confidence, "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?" So let this text challenge you today. Where have you been lacking in contentment? Where have you maybe put your security or faith in your money, your stuff? And how can God's promise to you be enough that no matter what happens, that if you belong to Jesus, He will not ever leave you nor forsake you? For Jesus cried out on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me?" You see, Jesus Himself was forsaken so that you and I would never have to be. So may that reality give us encouragement and contentment today and forever.
Thanks for joining us here today.
There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.